Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the Social Media Blast podcast. Today's topic is going to be pretty good. I think it's something that also needs to be talked about as much as our previous episode. But I'm going to let Josh talk about it today and bring it up because he's very passionate on this. But before we get started, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. If you have any questions, hit us up at our socials. Best place, again, is Twitter. Everything is in the description. We are also available on Spotify, Google Podcast, as well as iTunes. And we host on Podbean, so you can hit us up there as well. Everything is in the description. Feel free to go check it out. Welcome to the show. And Josh, I turn it over to you to talk about this utmost important topic.
I like to split things up into two different things because there's two ways to look at reviews. And reviews is what we're going to talk about if you can trust reviews these days. And we're both of us are reviewers. We take stuff, we review stuff. So we're actually really speaking to ourselves just as much as anybody else. We're keeping each other accountable in a sense, and we're keeping others accountable. And we want people to think about reviews because, like, when I speak about something, when I give my opinion, when I tell you about my experience and all that, I want you to trust it. I want you to know that, like, this is coming from the most honest way I can put it, or just like simply explain my experience.
Because it could be painful if you don't.
It could be very painful, or I don't know. Some people can't handle the truth. Like, you can't handle the truth. Anyways, stupid dad jokes. Hashtag dad jokes.
Insert
this is not
here.
going the direction. Yeah. All right. So back on track.
Right. I will edit that out. So go ahead.
I want this to be a light conversation because it could definitely become a heavy subject. It could definitely step on some toes if some people fall into the harsher category of stuff. But reviews, as I mentioned, like, both of us are reviewers. We like to review stuff. We like to give our opinions about things. The issue, well, let me back up. When I first got started, let me give you like the backstory. When I first got started reviewing stuff, it was a rat race. It used to be, and I'm going to narrow it down to just smartphones because that's like mainly what I've reviewed in the past. It used to be to where it was a rat race. You would try to pre-order something and try to get it in before anybody else got their hands on it to be able to put a video up before anybody else published something. And that was the way it was for almost everybody. And so the sooner you could get something put up there is the first video, or at least the first few videos that were put up there. And that was a good way to succeed and get a lot of views and all that kind of stuff. And this was maybe 5 years ago when it was like at that status.
Right.
So, fast forward to today, companies are providing reviewers, creators, YouTubers, whatever you want to call each other, products well in advance before it even hits the shelf. So the issue that I see with that kind of stuff is like, and I'm just going to use smartphones for example, because obviously there's tons of products that we could talk about, but smartphones in particular, I have an issue with that. And I don't feel comfortable releasing a review only having a phone for a week. And the struggle is that there's those of us that have to go out and purchase something, or there's companies that will send us the product for review at release time versus pre-release kind of stuff. For example, Verizon, they send me phones pretty much the week that it's released, or like as if I were to pre-order it myself, it would arrive the day that most customers would get it. So, at that point in time, there's tons of other videos that are already produced. Like, that rat race is over. You don't even bother trying to like rush a video out there because there's just already a ton out there. It's not the race to try to get the first video out there. So now it's like there's two camps. Like, there's the ones that we get the stuff on release day or after, or there's those that get the stuff beforehand. I don't feel comfortable releasing a full review only having a phone for a week or less, or even 2 weeks. Like 3 weeks, I would say would be the sweet spot to really be able to like get down into the nitty-gritty of the device, give a full, well-balanced opinion about your experience with the product. So, and this isn't like putting particular channels on blast. Like, if you get stuff before release time, that's cool. That's awesome. I honestly wish I could get that too. But even at that point, I don't see how you can give a full, well-rounded, I don't know, you can't get a full experience because you're getting a product that is released before it hits the shelf. A lot of times the software isn't even tightened up to full final product at that point. And there's one statement that you hear almost every time when they find an issue with software. What's the thing that they say after that? Hopefully this can be fixed with the software update. Well, you probably don't even have the final software update to begin with. Because what usually happens on the consumer level, even with Apple or any other product that sells a smartphone, is that you're going to see some kind of minor bug change or bug fixes kind of stuff that happens maybe a week or a couple weeks after the product is released. Mm-hmm. And that's their final thing. Like, they haven't even worked out the bugs yet. So how can you give me a full review about a phone when it's not even finished? And so that's like going back to the question that we had at the beginning of the podcast was like, can you trust reviews? And I think what you have to go after, are you going to reviews for like a smart purchase decision, or are you going to reviews for entertainment? Mm-hmm. Now, for entertainment, whatever, anything goes. You're just there to have fun with it, find out what the person thinks about it, whatever. You're not using that information to make a smart purchase. But if you are trying to make a smart purchase, I don't think you can trust those reviews. Like I said, I don't feel comfortable releasing a review, only having a phone for a week, even if it's after the production or the release. And so I just want to, I guess the encouragement is like, if you want to use that information to make a smart purchase decision, wait until you start seeing those reviews like a month later, 2 months later, 3 months later, because I think at that point you can really find out if the phone is going to be worth getting.
Right.
For example, I had, and this is just, it's not procrastination, laziness, or anything. It's just been busyness. I don't have the time to like really concentrate a review down into just a week's use. This S9 Plus review, I had it for 3 months before I could even release it. But I'm glad that I waited that long at the same time. Well, it lines up into that SEO marketing. Like, there are people that look for reviews that are like 3 months later kind of stuff, and you can include that with your title, and that just works out. Like, it works out for that kind of reasoning. But it's funny though, I was telling my wife, it seems like, how often, I don't know if this happens to you, but how often do you make a review, put it out there, it's published, and then you start getting all the quirks, all the little errors, or it's just not performing like it was when you released the review?
Well, absolutely. And that's the thing, like what you say about the idea of people putting up videos to be first, and getting those demo units, which again, sometimes they can be demo units, other times they don't really necessarily say what they are or not. But I really like your thoughts on, the people need to be careful. And if you want to have it first, and you're a consumer that likes to get the latest and greatest, and trust me, we're all like that. Even without YouTube, I'm sure most of us would be like that to begin with, that we want the latest and greatest first. And there's nothing wrong with that. But what you have to be careful of is, like you said, you're probably going to get an early rendition of the software, or as close to production as they can, because we've all become guinea pigs when it comes to technology when it starts. And, the idea that we get something that's done anymore is out the window. So, like you said, if you're going to YouTube on the first day that something is officially available to the public, and you see someone that has a review, and a lot of companies that are guilty of this are websites, technology websites. The Verge, I'm trying to think of some of the other ones, 9 to 5 Mac, and they've had these things for a week or two, and they're giving you their initial impressions. If it's something that is a really popular...
Impressions, I don't mean to interrupt, but impressions is a huge keyword.
Right.
And I wish that people would use that terminology for these reviews, that they've only had these products for a week, or the pre-production stuff. This is a first impressions review. It is not the full review. And
many
I
of
think
them
they
do
would
that.
establish a whole lot more trust with people if they would do that.
Right. But depending on what that product is and how hot it is, they stick that first, this is our review of this product. And then in in the article, we've had this for a week, so this is our first initial review of this. Well, no, you titled it to get those clicks, and
Mm-hmm.
in my opinion, and in your opinion, that kind of makes you a little bit scummy. And I know what you're trying. We know what you're trying to do. You're trying
Yeah.
to draw in the public, and that's fine. You've got a business to run, but you always have to look at the trust factor too, because that's just has gone out the window in the recent years. And like you said, you need to be careful on how you say that titling of this is our initial impressions, and that is the best way to do it. And if you don't do it that way, then you have to pay the consequences. And when people call you out on it, and you see that either people reply to it or ignore it, those that reply to it usually have an excuse or a reason. And a lot of just playing the game. I'm just doing what and that's fine. You want to be honest about it, but you're hurting your brand at the end of the day. And like you said, I think more people need to say, these are my initial thoughts on this product. And listen, there is nothing wrong with putting a well-produced video up on the first day and you've had it for a few days. I've done that with products on the first day that I'm allowed to put it up. I've put the video up, mainly at the LG products that I do, but my video specifically says, this is a first impression, and the company tells you that you should say this. We strongly recommend that you say, this is a demo unit. Things can change. There could be changes made. And I've mentioned that to people that got the same units, and I'll call them out on it, and I get, well, what's going to change, Mike? What's going to change on it? What do you think's going to change on it? Nothing. I said, listen, fine. You want to sit there?
I mean, a prime example is the Pixel, the first generation.
Right.
What was that biggest issue? The halo effect.
The halo effect.
And so,
right.
In my opinion, it was more of a hardware issue. They fixed a lot of it with some software,
but it wasn't fixed all the way.
Huge prime example. Like, dang. Like, I remember Danny Wingett, he was on Twitter, was like, anybody experiencing this? And then it started kind of taking off after that point.
Yeah.
I was like, dang. And like, I went through, I think, 3 units, and each one of them had the huge halo effect. But Google came out and said, like, we're going to fix this with the software update. And so it wasn't even a finished product. Like, I don't even know how it made off the production line having that huge of a effect. Mm-hmm. But it's such a prime example that comes to mind when this kind of stuff happens. Like, so many reviews were established and published before that issue was fixed. Mm-hmm. And so it would, like, if I'm a consumer looking into getting a product like that, and especially a Pixel phone, because it's one of the hottest phones of the year.
Right.
And like, I make a purchase decision when that review comes out, and then I see all this halo effect stuff, and camera stuff to me on a phone is a big deal. And I got that, and I was pissed. I was like, man, this sucks. Like, this is happening. That if I would have known that this issue was an issue at the time, I would have held off. Mm-hmm. Because I ended up getting rid of that phone as soon as I could, because I couldn't stand that halo effect.
Right.
And so, like, that's why it's so important, like, I think, to look at reviews after a use, a month at the least, for an actual review.
Right. You're absolutely correct. No, that's fine.
That, and it's like such a valid point, in my opinion, with the Pixel was such a. And then you could even look at the Pixel 2 with the screen issues that it had this time around. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Like, I was pissed off about that. I'm like, we're spending all this money on this product, and it's got a crappy screen on it. And now then you hear Google come out and say, well, this is, we wanted it to be more natural looking, blah, 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 but we'll come out with a software update that has some more saturation, blah, blah, blah. I was like, okay, well, like, anybody that's a big deal to, it would have been worth for them to know that information before going out and purchasing that product.
Right. No, you're absolutely correct. And that idea, where you would get the unit and you would say, this is a demo unit, and I would say that specifically, that things can change. And people with the smart ass comments, well, what's going to change? The phone's already done. It's made. It's out there. So listen, that's the hardware most likely. But if you send these out to people that are supposed to give you honest feedback on it, and something glaring occurs, you better damn bet that they're going to try to correct it. But let's be honest, before it got to us, they know exactly what's going out. Yes, I understand that. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
It's signed off on. Yes, I get that. But it's very important to let the consumer know that what you have is not completed. It could have outdated software on it. It could have been sitting in a box when it was first made. There could be an issue with it that was already corrected. It could be a problem with fitment issue. There could be it's probably already corrected, but they're just sending this out for the courtesy of letting us get our hands on it first. That's the point. And when you sit there and say, "Oh, what do you know what you're talking?" No, I don't know what I'm talking about. I'm going on what the company is telling me to say. I think they know what they're talking about. And that's why it's so important what you say, Josh, the idea of being upfront with your viewers and saying things like, "I got this 2 weeks ago. If I want to give you a review, my review is on 2 weeks of usage. Take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it's worth."
That sounds so much better. And I'm going to try to hold myself accountable to that when I put out a review, because I might not be too clear about it from previous stuff, but here on out, like, that's something I'm going to challenge myself to just be upfront. I've had this for X amount of days, and this is what it's been like.
There's nothing wrong with saying that either.
No.
There's nothing wrong with saying that. If someone's coming to your video and it's the day that the item's released and they want to go over to the Verizon store or AT&T or T-Mobile or Sprint. No, nobody's going to Sprint.
Let's just say Best Buy.
Let's just say Best Buy. And they want to pick up that phone and they want to know what you think on it because they're a subscriber. And you go, "You know what? I've had this for a week. I got it a week before it came out. I've charged it up. I let it die 2-3 times, and the phone lasted this long. Could it get better? It could. Could it get worse? It could.
Probably.
Probably. But you know what? That's the battery life. This is my initial thoughts on the camera. This is my initial thoughts. That's what people need to do. Or let me back up. That's what I feel people should do. And if you want to get a product that it's going to keep for 2 years, because that's typically how long you have to keep it, there's early upgrade programs and everything. But, again, a topic for another video. Whether or not you think that there's no contracts, there's a contract, okay? You're keeping that phone for 2 years, or you got to turn it in 1 year and you don't get to keep it. Or if you do want to keep that phone, you got to pay them. Surprisingly, half of the price of the phone if you want to leave Verizon, AT&T, T-Mobile, if you want to keep that phone. Believe it or not, you're on a contract whether you like it or not, whether you believe it or not. I don't care what any of these companies tell you. You're going to keep that phone for X amount of months, and if you want to keep it for a year and turn it in and get the latest and greatest, that's fine. But I'm going to tell you right now, you can't leave that company and go to another one and keep that phone with you. It ain't happening. So that's my thoughts on that. So what you're saying, Josh, is definitely key, and it's something that people need to be wary of when they're watching these videos. Do you watch? I'm just gonna repeat what you said. You either want it for a review, or you want it for entertainment, and that's the thing. That's what you got to be careful of. So, what else you got on that topic? Because you went off.
This is it. Really, I mean,
that's pretty much it. All right, we're done.
See, sums it up, bro.
So this is nice when we're actually here focusing on what we want to talk about. How fast we can get it done and get it to the point for you guys. So, with that being said, be careful, and obviously, if you're going to watch these videos for entertainment value, for the beauty shots that guys do, just be wary of the information that you're getting on these videos from these guys. Whether you want to trust them or not, whether you want it because you like the way that they shoot a product, whether you like the way that their voice sounds, whether you like you want to learn how to do that, that's great. But at the basic fundamental point of it all, how much information you're getting out of that initial look on that is something that you got to be careful of. You want to go out and buy the phone, chances are you're going to learn right along with that person that's getting the product early, getting paid to do a video for it. You're going to learn right along with them the quirks with that, because software updates are going to come out. Whether or not any recalls are done will be out within the first 6 months. And that's what you take. That's what you have to accept when you're buying a product that early these days. And it's sad. It's sad with technology that you have to do that. So that being said, I think that's our final thoughts on that. Do you have anything that you want to add before we roll?
Just, I mean, I got a ton of reviews I got to come out with. So be looking out for that at my channel. Those links are down below.
Cool.
I know this week I got the HTC U12 Plus that's on deck.
Nice.
And then I've got the Mini Me. I can't ever remember the
Mini Me.
The Moza Mini.
Oh, okay.
Or something like that.
Gotcha.
That's coming out.
I got this really cool thing in. It's not new, but it's newer. It's from Neo, Neeo, and it's a smart remote. And I did a video talking about how much I loved my Super Ray remote, and I still use it, but they went out of business, so there's no support for it. So should anything happen, I'm SOL. So I found this company through a video that Amanda Woolsey did a video on the Neo remote, and it's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. So I've got that sitting right back over there for those that are watching. For those that aren't, you have no idea what the hell I'm pointing at. I'm going to open that up and take a look at that and do initial impressions on that. So I'm excited for that.
And I got the Ronin S in today, but it's like so much that I want to do. Okay, so if we're going to be painfully honest here, I got the smartphone gimbal in for review. That's just being out front. And then the HTC U12, I keep on wanting to say U11 because I said it so much last year. They sent that to me for review. I got to send it back, but I got it for a few weeks. But the Ronin S, that's a purchase that I made. I also got a new camera, got the 5D Mark IV with the 70-200. So I kind of want to do a
jealous
first impressions kind of thing. And like I've mixed in my business with my YouTube channel stuff. So it all has to do with each other. And I use everything. So it's for the business, but anyways, so much on deck that it's ridiculous that it's just busy.
That Canon, you could probably would really honestly to use that and really give a big review. I guess we'll see you like in 3 months because
there's
so much to learn. And were you on Canon before?
No, I've been on Sony.
Oh, you
I started with
as you're learning in the few days that you've had.
But like with camera stuff, I want to do camera reviews, but there's so much to those that it's like I don't even feel like I would even scratch the surface with camera reviews because there's so much to them.
Yeah.
But I mean, right now, like I'm recording this with the Sony A7R III.
Okay.
So my thoughts are like, really, the 5D Mark IV and the R3 are the direct competition. So I got the Canon 5D Mark IV mostly for the wedding photography side, some gigs that I got coming up for that because I'm providing photo and video.
Right.
And so mainly got it for that kind of stuff. But I'm definitely going to be able to have some side-by-side comparisons with like real user usage. There's so many inside jokes that you guys are not going to get.
A real day in the life of. Really? A real day in the life of.
Anyways, yeah, so lots to come.
Yes.
From both of us. Like we got lots of plans. We got lots of topics. Just stay tuned.
Yep.
We got the podcast. Like so many ideas that are coming up every day.
Definitely.
That comes up. And if you guys have stuff like topics that you guys want us to talk about, hit us up. You can send us a tweet, direct message, whatever. You
Definitely.
can put those kind of subjects in that kind of stuff, or in the comments, whatever you guys want to use. We're interested to see what you guys want us to talk about, because we are going to try to be as honest as we can without, like, we're not here to stir up trouble. We're just here to try to guide people's directions, their decisions, learn from our mistakes. As parents to say, like, do as I say, not as I do, because that is definitely like some of the premise of this. Like, we're having like the name of our podcast, Social Media Blast. We're putting like topics and issues on blast, but we're also having a good time with it. So there's like a play on words with that as well.
Exactly.
So you can definitely check us out. We've got all the links down below in the description. We're on Google Play, we're on iTunes, and also Spotify. And yeah, it's going to be fun seeing what you guys think about these last couple of topics that we've talked about, because they've been kind of hot topics, hot takes.
Oh, yeah. So welcome to the channel. We hope you guys enjoy and subscribe. Definitely. So, you know what? I'm actually going to take that and edit that. That's nice and perfect. I'm going to use that as our trailer. I thought that was pretty good, what you said right there. And me just sitting there going, so, but that about does it for the podcast. I got to redo that.
It's like, or you could keep this part because it's going to encourage you to watch the channel, because man, so much more flavor to it.
There's gonna be a lot of butthurt people, but you know what? That is what it is. So, guys, thank you so much for joining this episode, which I think you saw all that. So we're gonna use that in different pieces. So when you see it pop up, you'll go, "Hey, I saw that whole part. That's where that came from." So, guys, thank you for joining us, Josh. I know you got to go. So have a good one, guys, and we'll see you in the next episode.